OG Rose, and today we're announcing the release of Second Thoughts. This is the follow-up to the Thoughts book that we put out. And this one we are very pleased to have in the world. It consists of 50 pieces, and they range on topics. There's quite a number of them that focus on the question of technology, how technology changes our towardness to reality. Before the camera is invented, I can't be toward a tree as a potential photograph, but now I can be. How is that good? How is that bad? Does that lead to Currenization, which is a piece based on Mausik's book, where I can just turn every phenomenon into social currency? Is that good or bad? How do we avoid currenization in society today? There's also kind of a piece that's based on the Raymond and Joshua Hansen conversation on Paul Virilio on how we don't really actually know the essence of a ship until the shipwrecks, where accidents uncover substance, which is a play on the Aristotelian notion of accidents. There's a piece on clearing, which talks about Hegel, Heidegger, but also gets tied in with Hegel because both seem to be in the business of how do we undergo a certain annihilation, as Thomas Wynne will talk about, or negation, so that ideas can come forth as themselves, such as love, which is, there's a piece on love in the work, and how much more difficult is it to engage in clearing as such, where we are phenomenologically ignorant, based on a piece that Raymond talks about. If we never leave our office because we're always on the computer, then in a way the very possibilities of our philosophy and our thinking are restricted because we are ignorant in phenomenological experience. We may never really fully experience how humans can solve problems and still be mysteries, which is in reference to a piece where I talk with Dr. Philippe Nicholas. And therefore we can't ever avoid the temptations to say pick better, we tend to say that nothing matters at the worst of all possible time, versus pick it in a manner that might contribute to beauty. But if we don't have phenomenological experience, if we're not really aware that there's something mysterious about human beings, we might not be very good at picking times, better times of thinking nothing matters. We tend to ignore relationships or beauty when we have a work deadline, failing to remind ourselves that nothing matters, that ultimately the work deadline doesn't matter so much, and to be open to experience. But we tend to say nothing matters when we say get a bad report on our work or at our job, and then we're like, what's the point of anything? So there's ways in which humans are very, very, very ironic. We tend to be engaged in irony, and as a result of being engaged in irony, we're not very good with living with ourselves. And part of the problem that leads to us being stuck in irony is we can't tell differences between fear and wisdom. There's a lot of papers in here on fear, on worry. We don't realize we need to update logic. There's a piece inspired by the Science of Logic class at Philosophy Portal. And in not being able to tell those differences, or to see something that is ultimately mysterious or lacking in a kind of apathetic sense, or just ultimately a high-order causality sense, and not really seeing these things, we can't think through what it means to be human beings in a more fruitful and full way. And ultimately, what we end up doing is deciding what is the human being ontologically according to the effectiveness of a given epistemology. If the scientific method is incredibly effective, we then tend to assume that the scientific worldview is the correct ontology. So there's a lot of different pieces in the work. There's a number of them inspired by the net. There's a number of them that are going to deal with economics. There's a piece on the relation between philosophy and literature. There's a few theology pieces, like The Science of Things Failing, or the work on the great Austin Farah and the metaphor of Tolstoy. There's some works on Anselm. There's a number of works on the question of history. What is historical studies? Following in the work of Hayden White and some Selby Foote. There's going to be questions of Thomas More, is Putin a Thomas More who caved? There's going to be questions on the nature of interpretation, pieces inspired by voicecraft, other life, Philosophy Portal, and different communities. And so please pick up your copy today. You can find it on Amazon, Kindle, paperback, and for more by OG Rose, please visit ogrose.com, Twitter, Anchor, Instagram, so forth and so on. And thank you so much for your time.